Well, welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, as you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. I can talk a little bit more, I suppose, about the concert I went to, not yesterday, 2 days ago. I suppose you can see yesterday's episode if you want to hear more about the performance, I suppose, of it. This is more just sort of like a general thing about festivals, I suppose. But yeah, yesterday I went to BST in Hyde Park, which is a British, I think it might just be called British Summertime, I assume after the time zone, but I'm not really sure. But it's in Hyde Park, which is like a big park in London, and some, good acts perform. Hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow at 6:10 PM on Tuesday, July 4th, 2023. Oh yeah, also happy Independence Day for America. I suppose that's probably strange coming from me, seeing as I'm British, and that's independence from the the British Empire, I suppose, way back in, what is it, like 1776 or something. But that's also history, and it's not like I was there for it, so I don't know. That's all I really got to say about that. I don't really know what else is what else you do on Independence Day, to be perfectly honest. Fireworks probably, but I think I've probably spoken about Independence. Well, even if I haven't spoken about Independence Day before, it's not really much for me to say. I'm not American, so we're going to continue talking about festivals. So yeah, I went to see festival, and basically headlining act was Blackpink, and basically I talked about it yesterday, where it was actually genuinely really awesome, and it made me just be like, I want to go see them again, to be honest, or see any other group which has or not in group, a performer who has as much like stage presence and performance tied up in that. And I suppose inherently, sometimes I might intrinsically think about K-pop, because K-pop kind of, as I said before, is very much the sort of marrying of both the musical and the performance aspect of it. But that's all in yesterday's episode. You can go watch it if you particularly want. Today we're just going to talk about like festival things in general. Now, as I said, I haven't really been to many festivals before. I've been to like one or two, I think. And I've been to quite a few more concerts, but not really musical concerts, because, as I said, I can't remember when I said it, maybe I said it yesterday, but I don't really have that much, I suppose, affinity for. There's not many musical artists out there where I'm like, yeah, I want to go see like a concert by them, a musical concert. It just is how it is, to be perfectly honest, isn't there was not really anything much more to it. But there are people I would see, but their tickets are quite difficult to acquire, and I'm not willing to put that much effort in, to be honest. So yeah, honestly, my sort of like understanding of musical festivals and concert comes from pictures and stories I hear about things like Reading Festival, Glastonbury, what other sort of big ones are there in the UK. Well, basically, it's just a load of people are camping out for multiple days at like in a tent or whether. It's extremely muddy, it's extremely dirty, there's a copious amount of, let's say, alcohol drinking going on, and probably other things, but that's neither here nor there, nor for me to necessarily judge on. And it's the biggest thing, the biggest thing which I would dislike, I suppose, theoretically, about the festival, at least from my own perspective, would be how dirty it is. I don't really, I can deal with camping, I wouldn't want to camp for like ages, mind you, but I don't mind it. I think it genuinely is fun, like for a few days or something, but after a while, I like the amenities and the comforts that modern civilization have, I should genuinely consider a privilege, the fact I have access to, like indoor plumbing, things like heated water, etc, etc. I like it. And maybe that makes me, well, I'm not gonna say it makes me a bad person, I think that's a little extreme, but it's just what it is, isn't it? So I can certainly deal with camping for a few days, but the thing is, I feel like it would be so dirty and it's so muddy and like an absolute mess. And some people, revel in that, or some people, don't mind it. It's part of the experience, it's part of the festival atmosphere. But whether it's something I would want to participate in, I'm not so sure. But I do really genuinely like the actual, festival portion, I suppose, of it. The part that people pay the money for, to actually see people performing, to be in a crowd of thousands of people just being like, woo, yeah, singing along to a song where you hopefully know. And it's something I really said yesterday, where, after the first few musical acts, I was like, it's nice and all, I like, but I found myself, listening to the songs and all that, nicely. But most of the interest is that I found tied up in people watching, which I often say when I go out to like in university times. I always used to like sit by the window seats because it's fun to people watch. Not not like in a creepy way. I'm like invading your privacy or something, but just sort of like ambiently seeing what people are doing. It's that that word from the Dictionary of Sorrows or whatever, called like sunder. Everyone's living their life. I wonder what's going on in other people's lives right now, and you know, like what are they thinking about, etc., etc. So it's really cool because, you know, like the first act we probably saw. I mean, the first one was like Kathy Beta or Katie Besa, something like that. Who I mean, we didn't really see, but the first one we probably saw was she's called Peach PRC or whatever. And I remember just sort of like looking out of a crowd, you know, and I was like listening to the song. I was like, yeah, it's a nice song. You know, I don't have anything against or anything. There was one of them I kind of liked, to be honest, but I just remember looking at the crowd and just like looking around and being like, whoa, there's so many people here just like super into it, you know. And then it gets me thinking and be like, wow, some of these people are probably like this artist like #1 fan or something. You know, I remember there was like this, I don't know, but what surprised me is like how many, you know, young people were actually there, like younger, not even younger than me. I thought most people would probably be somewhere in the range of like 16 to 26 or something. Well, I feel like I'd be the main age, but there was a surprising amount of people who, I don't know necessarily the ages, but I would ballpark them somewhere from like 10 to 16 or something. I was like, this surprises me, you know, for one that, I guess, you know, pop is popular with especially younger demographics, so I shouldn't be too surprised. But I was like, whoa, you know, it surprised me how many, you know, young people, I suppose, or like kids or teens are here in the first place, and how many of their parents then came along to, you know, support them. You know, certainly I would do that for my child if they were like, oh my god, I'm XYZ's #1 fan or whatever, like, can we go see that concert? And they, you know, been good or whatever, and they're like, why not? You know, I'll accompany you. And I thought it was pretty cool, to be perfectly honest, you know. A lot of parents who, I must imagine, you know, are totally not into it, you know, being like, wow, this is not like music like back in my day or whatever, but still accompanying their children. So I was like, I thought that's cool. But I remember there was like this, I'm going to assume like 11-year-old girl or something, and I don't know, I'd ballpark like somewhere from 9 to 11 or something, just like on her dad's shoulders, and she was absolutely just grooving to Peach. I don't know, is it Peach PRC or just Peach? Do I say the entire thing? I'm just going to call her Peach. She was absolutely just grooving. She was vibing the entire time. You know, eyes are closed, arms were swaying. She was having like probably the time of her life, I imagine, at that concert. And I was just like, you know, that's really, I suppose, not to be sentimental, but it's like, that's kind of like what art's about, you know. It's a thing that's, I'd imagine, keeps you going as an artist, and, you know, seeing the people that your art reaches, you know. And like, I'm not Peach, and I'm not going to speak for her necessarily, but I must imagine, you know, her looking out the crowd and seeing the people absolutely grooving really into the music she's singing and making, and it must be like a heartwarming feeling, just being like, yes, this is what I'm doing it for people like you, you know, who love it, you know, who are like, this is exactly what I wanted to hear right now, this is exactly what means the most to me, you know. And I was like, that's really cool. Even though I'm not grooving. You know, again, I'm not a very expressive person, so I wonder what happens when she, you know, she sees the people absolutely grooving when she looks to me, and I'm just like sort of standing there like with my arms crossed with a very blank expression on my face. She must be like, wow, this person hates my music. No, I don't hate your music. I think it's pretty cool. I'm just not very expressive, you know. I'm not really the type of person to be bouncing up and down in a crowd being like, yeah, you know, hands up in the air or anything. I don't know. I'm just not. There's not really much I can say about that. It's just not who I am. But I'm still having a good time, so don't get me wrong. So it's cool to see that, you know. That's definitely my favourite part of the festival, being in that crowd, seeing everyone else as invigorated around me. But as I said yesterday, it's even better when you yourself are invigorated. Now, I might not be much of someone who's like screaming and yelling, you know, hands up in the air, and, you know, being particularly energetic in that sense, but I do like to sing along to things. And if I never dance, I'll do my best to dance along as well, because it's fun, you know. That's why it's so electrifying, I think, during Blackpink's actual performance, because I'd imagine most people were there for Blackpink, you know, don't get me wrong. But it's cool to see other people also appreciate, you know, the other artists as well, and their performances. It's cool, isn't it? Have we been to Halves Island? Yeah, I don't even know if we've been to Halves Island. Like, every artist there was someone's Blackpink, I suppose, right? Is basically what I mean to summarize it as. And that's cool. That's really awesome. And it is great, you know. Even at shoulder to shoulder, you don't have much room to move and that sort of thing. And I don't mind, like, standing like that for, you know, during the actual concert itself. But when it's like, you know, the lead up to the concert itself, that's the boring part. You know. It's things like that which make me, you know, not want to do festivals. Well, I mean, obviously the cost as well, I suppose. But it's just like, you know, it's by far and away the worst part of the festival is certainly the waiting time. And there was like an hour and a half wait between what was her name? It's not Stacey Carpenter, it's Sabrina Carpenter. It's like an hour and a half wait between the performances, because we were there like for Sabrina Carpenter's act, and you know, we were waiting there beforehand, I think, me and my friends, but at one point, like, two of my friends went to go get food or whatever, because it was almost dinner time, and I was like, at the time I was like, nah, I don't really like want any food, but maybe, and they were like, are you sure? And I was like, okay, maybe if you see some like loaded fries or something, I'll take some loaded fries, because, you know, it's like a snacky thing I like. They went to go get like dumplings or something, and then they basically couldn't make it back to us, I think, during the actual concert itself of Stacey, is that her name's not Stacey? I keep thinking her name's Stacey, but it's not. I literally said it and I forgot. Sabrina, that's it. Carpenter. Like, it's a very difficult thing trying to navigate your way through a crowd, and even harder if you're trying to like find your friends, I think, at the same time, because we were just like, oh, look at the aerial mast, you know, it's got the number on it, we're like roughly there, but between there and there, you know, put our hands up and that sort of thing, look around for each other, try and wear distinctive clothing, I suppose, to try and pick yourselves out, but it's hard. And then sometimes, you know, we eventually did it, or they eventually found us, I suppose. But they literally just couldn't make it to us because there was just like so many people in the way. And it's hard to, you know, a lot of people are obviously kind of just like, oh yeah, I don't want to like let you through, you know, or give up my my good view or whatever. Fair enough, you know, that's kind of like what you're here for, especially when without any sort of assigned seating or anything. But also a lot of times it's like you literally can't move. You know, you're like shoulder to shoulder. It's like it's pretty difficult to even get any space to yourself. And well, what's even crazier is there was like an invisible line where it's just like, hey, you're not meant to go past this line of like picnic blankets or anything, because it is encouraged to, you know, have a picnic, I think, in Hyde Park, but you know, not that close to the stage, otherwise there'll be literally no space. But there's still people having a picnic where we were, so I don't really know, to be perfectly honest. You know, sometimes the rules are I've had to bend a bit. And my friends got food, eventually gave it to us. It was kind of cold by the time I was eating it, but actually by the time I was eating it, I was like kind of hungry, to be honest. So it was good, if anything. It's just like, I suppose the summary of it is, I like the people at the festival because they bring the hype, but I don't like the people because they're like, you know, they make up the queues, they make up the mess, they make up, you know, as soon as the actual performance is over, I'm like, oh, you know, if only all these people could instantly dematerialize or something like that. not like out of existence, but like imagine if it was like a video game server, you know, like we're all there, you know, we all go and join that public room, I suppose, with a concert itself, and we can all see each other, and then as soon as the concert's over, we can exit the room and go back to like the festival grounds, but in our own individual instance or something. That would be cool. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You know, we had to still queue up, I suppose, to get food, to get drinks, etc., etc. It's still like a mess. The line for the toilets actually was genuinely, the toilets were actually really good here. Surprisingly, they didn't have like, they had sort of like portaloos or whatever they're called, but it was sort of like different portaloos, whatever you want to call them. Because they were like, they felt like fancy versions, to be perfectly honest, and they were actually surprisingly clean, like really clean. I was just like, wow, this is like the cleanest porta potty you've ever seen. And it doesn't stink or anything, so, and they had a huge amount of them, so there's no queue. So while it's not like, you know, I don't like public toilets, and I tried to avoid going to them if at all possible, you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, right? And as far as public toilet goes, they're pretty good. But yeah, what else to say? Yeah, so I don't know, the festival hype is fun, but the inconvenience surrounding, I suppose, the festival is not as fun. And then obviously, you know, you had to go back home. It's not too bad in the middle of London because there's many different stations and places and ways to get back home. So it's not too bad. To be perfectly honest, like, you know, and I talked about it in Spain, that we were leaving after like a football match, and it was, oh, you know, why don't we sit here and listen to you as well, Raymond? You don't need to react to my emotion, just sing. Well, we were leaving at a football match, and it was an absolute nightmare to go back because there was basically like one close stop. And we basically couldn't get tickets if it weren't for my friend who, you know, it just basically like pushed his way through to buy tickets, which, you know, thank the Lord for him, because that's certainly not something I would ever do. Actually, to be fair, what I would probably do is I'd probably just like start walking back and then just like hop on at like a station like 3 or 4 stops down the line or something. But of course, everyone solves problems their own different way, you know. But yeah, like leaving wasn't too bad, because you know, London, UK, you know, the TFL is actually one of the best things for London, to be perfectly honest, you know. But some of the great things that UK have, you know, we got the NHS, as of this video at least, and we have public transport and TFL as of this video. I hope that doesn't age poorly. I hope it ages amazingly, and you know, they get a load of funding and it's great and it's amazing. But okay, that's not really a discussion for this episode. So yeah, the festival times is just, yeah, I'm surprised how much I enjoyed the actual festival and concert itself. You know, I wouldn't guess myself to like it that much. As I said, I'm not very expressive. I'm not like super into a lot of music, or that sort of thing. I like songs, you know, certainly, but it's like my attachment to it tends to be transcend just the music alone. It needs to like have a story associated with it, which is why a lot of the things I listen to tend to be from video games, or like things that I have a story behind them, which I know, because then I'm just like, yeah, I can connect the emotions I have for that story with the song, and that's what makes me appreciate it more. I'm just surprised at how much I liked it. But it was another crazy thing, which I've got to complain about, you know, music festival. So many people have their phones out recording things for so long, you know. I'm not like I don't want to. I don't have like the full boomer quote take where it's just like, you know, people these days put away your phones and enjoy the moment. But it's sort of just like, I get it, you know. You want to take like a recording of a video of a thing, and like I took a few videos and that sort of thing as well of them. Like, but it's crazy to me that you would record the entire thing on your phone. I mean, I guess there are things like fan cams and whatnot, but like there's people out there with like really, you know, good quality fan cams and that sort of thing. So I assume they must have like a really nice camera or setup or better vantage or viewpoint. It just feels weird to me for the majority of people to be recording the entire thing, which a lot of people did do. Now, of course, my entire point is moot if you actually do watch these videos back and that sort of thing. But part of me is just like, how many of you are actually watching these videos back? I'm not saying like you, viewer, directly, just more like you as in people in general. Because some people I'm just like, yeah, you're absolutely going to watch that video back. Like there was like this, I don't know, 13-year-old girl or something in front of me of a Blackpink concert, and she was like getting her dad to record it while she like watched and absorbed like the concert in its entirety, and also because he was taller, so I guess he could like record it properly. And I was like, you know, that's someone who's a super fan. She's undoubtedly she's going to go home and she's going to be watching that like concert, the videos on her phone from a concert, and like thing one's uploaded from YouTube for like weeks to come, I'd imagine. Like that's someone who's like, you know, they've got the passion for it. But I feel like the majority of people, like a short video is enough. Like that's what I did. I didn't, you know, bust out my phone, took a video of like some highlight moments of like of a crowd and that sort of thing, and then put my phone away. That's it, you know. It's a lot easier, I suppose, to appreciate it in the moment when you're not having to pay attention to what you're recording at the same time. But that's just me. And also, it's a thing where like when people like record and they put their arms up and their phones as well, it blocks a line of sight for a lot of people. I'm going to be honest. I understand if it's a moment where you put your hands up in the air and you're vibing, you're waving your arms, like you just don't care. But the phones is sort of just like, I don't know. I guess it because it feels like unnecessary. It feels like it's not part of the moment, is what I mean to say. So yeah, that's a complaint. Why so many people got their phones out, you know? I understand the passion, you know, and I don't have anything against the passion. There was someone in the Sabrina Carpenter concert who was to my left. She was like, I don't know how old she was. I'm going to say she was like 18 or something. She must have been Sabrina Carpenter's #1 fan. She was like screaming at every song. You might be like, don't you find that super annoying? That must like be even more annoying when people with phones have a concert. No, that's passion. That's raw passion being, you know, expressed. That's someone who loves the song. You know, as soon as the first notes of a song went on, she was like, I can't believe it's a song. Or as soon as like she gave like even vague hints to what song was going on, she was like, oh my god, I can't believe she's playing this song. It's like my favorite song, which is awesome, I would say. You know, I'm not here to disparage. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. More people like that, please. Because she, you know what, she didn't have her phone out. Maybe that's why I'm so appreciative of her. She was someone who was appreciating it. She took her photos, she took her videos, and then she was there in the moment. Maybe that's my most boomer take, I suppose, but it's basically the long and short of it. It's like, if you want to watch your videos back, there are people out there who, it was probably like officially recorded as well. Or, you know, or if you're like someone who runs a fan site or something, has a really good quality camera and like was there from like the early morning to get a good spot, to get a good recording, fair enough, you know, I don't blame you for doing that. But then like the other people who just like, you know, we're like 50, like 80 degrees off to the left hand side, you can't see anything because there's just like a wall of people in front of you. I don't know, you don't need to record the entire thing, is basically what I'm thinking. Although I'm sort of divided because, like, on one hand you don't need to record the entire thing, it feels unnecessary, but on the other hand I'm also like archiving, you know, that's like history being kept there forever. You know, it's sort of like the golden age of the information era means that we have these memories which will be our keepsakes to a certain degree. But anyway, that's it. And I always think back to that one lady who was in front of us during the New Year fireworks in London, and she just had her phone out the entire time. I was just like, at that point I was just like, I'm impressed, because this is a long show and you just have your arms up the entire time. And I was just like looking at the video on her phone and I'm like, it doesn't even look that good on her phone. It's so like smoky and washed out, you can't see anything. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to round this episode off here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Twitter, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.